All right, do it.
I did. We're doing
Oh,
the mid-season assessment. These are our top 10 running backs. And before we even start with our top 10, we're going to have a few honorable mentions, uh, a few players that did not make it in, and even our honorable mentions might be a little bit shocking because honestly, out of all of our top 10 lists that we made, this is the one that was probably one of the hardest to make and the
it
one that almost didn't make sense of how many big names are not in it without trying to reveal too much, I guess.
was pretty surprising.
Yeah,
It
overall
really
surprising.
was.
That means you should view in. Listen up.
Sure. Controversial.
Ooh,
I
ooh, ooh.
think that's controversial. You should have heard what I said off camera. Anyways,
Anyways,
first name,
honorable
the
mention
Beast.
Marshawn Lynch did not make it. Beast mode is not in the top 10, yeah. And, a little bit probably contribute that he had a couple games where, he was injured. Part of it could be because, you know, the Seahawks aren't really as good as they were this year. And part of the
Right.
reason of not only did Russell Wilson not get in top 10, but Marshawn Lynch also isn't producing the same numbers as he used to. Like, it's all
Right.
around. Another one, LaShawn McCoy. Mr. Shady himself is not in the
Right.
top 10.
Missed a couple games himself, maybe three. I
Y-
forget exactly.
Right, right.
So that hurts.
And, unfortunately, not making as big of an impact on the Bills as I think what we suspected him to, overall. I mean, I want to necessarily say he's doing bad, but definitely
Right.
not as good as that we may have expected. The other one, we're putting an honorable mention towards DeMarco Murray, but
I don't think it's surprising he's not on this list.
yeah,
It's surprising in retrospective to what we thought when the season was beginning.
yeah, yeah,
So that's why I feel like it's sort of worth mentioning that that's three. No, that's three of, if not, that's three top 10, maybe top five running backs from past, few seasons.
exactly. And so
So,
far, not developing to the same running backs as they used to
right.
be. Uh,
And obviously, all the people that got injured for the season, we decided to leave out because there's quite a few that could
yeah,
potentially make that list.
right, exactly. And unfortunately, if their season isn't over at this point, you're not on the list.
Right.
Sorry, but you can always better luck next year. At number 10, though,
You left us far too soon, Arian Paul.
sorry, Arian. Number 10 on our list is probably the most unique running back on the list. And the reason he made the top 10 list is Danny Woodhead. And he made it because not necessarily as much for his rushing yards, but his receiving yards.
He is our all-purpose back
Yeah.
to make this list.
And probably the best all purpose back in the NFL right now. I would argue it used to
So,
be Darren Sproles, but
right,
not really doing it for Philly this year.
right,
Danny Woodhead made it though, so congrats to you.
right. Another guy that made it is Justin Forsett,
Mm-hmm.
who was probably the waiver wire pickup of the season last year, and he's held to his form pretty well this season.
Yeah, he has. He might be now that Steve Smith is gone, probably the best player on the Ravens right now.
Probably so. Probably so.
uh, but might not be enough to do much with it. And going above Justin Forsett with number 8, we're gonna have Mark Ingram.
Who dat?
He's putting up impressive numbers. And you know what? Mark Ingram had impressive numbers last year, which is when he really took on the role of
Right,
being the leading rusher and everything.
right,
And no one really knew what to think of him because I mean you go from Reggie Bush to Darren Sproles, and now you have Mark Ingram, being your number one, and he did really well last year, and he is probably doing just as good this year. I don't think he's necessarily above his mark, below his mark. I think he's just kind of right where he was last year on statistics wise. And
Doing just as well, and he's really he's used in goal line situations pretty frequently,
yeah,
and so it's really been a big booster to his stats because he gets touchdowns, And if this team, another he's a player that has a lot to potentially he could rise quite a lot as the season goes because if the Saints offense keeps playing, half as good as they played Sunday, this is a guy that's going to be posting a lot of yards and a lot of points
right,
as the offense gets in gear. So he'll be an interesting one to watch for sure.
right.
For sure.
You know what?
We're talking about our. You know what? I don't know how much of a surprise this is. Adrian Peterson, number
Number
7.
7. Yeah.
He
Oh,
had a season off. Started off a little rusty. He hasn't quite hit that same gear. Well, he has hit that gear because he's got some pretty long. Was it a 70 some odd yard touchdown?
yep.
Busted open. He hasn't hit it consistently though, just that high gear that he's done in the past. But he's still pretty damn good and a vital part of the Vikings offense.
Yes.
A very vital part.
You know, I there's a few things that are kind of like interesting about it because when you look at the grand scheme of things, Adrian Peterson still being in the top 10 isn't surprising. What is surprising is not seeing him in at least the top 3 because he's always been there.
Uh,
You know, and if you're going to talk about who's the best running backs in the NFL in the past 5 years, he's either been number 1 and probably the lowest was always at about number 3.
you're talking
Another,
about the best running back. Like once this decade is said and done,
mm-hmm,
he's probably going to be remembered as the greatest running back of the decade.
yeah,
So
and,
there might be another guy on this list that has something to say about that, but we'll get there.
right. And the other surprising thing that kind of a small stat, but just kind of surprising to look at, he's had 3 fumbles this season.
Yeah, that's the biggest takeaway, and it's kind of why he's
Why he dropped down for like we actually had him up higher originally, and then we looked at that and go, that's not AP status anymore. That's weird. He's never been known to fumble.
right.
Maybe once in a great while, but not 3 in 8 weeks.
And that's a large part of the reason why number 6, Doug Martin, is above him.
Yes, and I don't think Doug Martin has any fumbles this year, to be honest. That's not the
So
reason why
he's having a very under the radar
he
season.
is.
No one's talking about how well he's played. And he's played damn good football just for a bad team.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the rushing yards to be comparable. He's got receiving yards to be comparable. He has a lot of yards after the carry. Yeah. Maybe not all of those are above Adrian Peterson, but a few are. And he's playing really good. He's playing really good. It's
They're pretty neck and neck. The turnovers is just the tiebreaker.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's unfortunate that he's playing so good, and despite how much that he can contribute to the team, like it's not really helping the team overall.
Right.
And I guess that's a whole other topic. We're not talking about teams in general. We're talking about individual players. And you know what? An individual player who's made our number 5 slot, Chris Johnson. This guy has
Speaking of teams, our third Cardinal, aging Cardinal on the rise. You know,
Yeah. You know what? Looking at the rest of the videos, there's a Cardinal player in all 3 top 10 spots right now. And if you think about it, you got Carson Palmer, you got Larry Fitzgerald, and you have Chris Johnson. All of them top 5
top 5
even.
spots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty damn impressive about the Cardinals. And all of them above the age of 30. So that's like the most unique thing coming out of Arizona and probably out of the NFL in general.
Someone needs to draw like a little comic and like the triplets and have like 3 old men standing there. Have, sure.
That'd be good. That's someone's
You make-
sign it.
You don't even have to give me credit for that. Just make it if you want to.
Please.
Anyway.
On top of everything else, Chris Johnson, he's the third highest rusher for yards in the NFL right now.
And I'm gonna be honest, those seasons he had towards the end in Tennessee,
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was done.
Yeah,
Uh, I completely gave up on him, and he proved me wrong this season. He
yeah,
really. I even passed on him in free agency. What a dumbass.
I didn't.
I know. I know.
Yeah, I.
Matt Forte. No one wants to hear about this. Matt.
No. Matt Forte's number 4. That's isn't really that shocking. The only thing that might be is now he's hurt. Is not a season ender though, which is why he's still on the list. But he is hurt, and that might contribute a little bit at the end of the season. I don't know if he's gonna still be number 4 after that. But first 8 weeks, yeah, definitely. I think he's number 2 in leading receiving um, this season so far. He has, actually not as many touchdowns as I expected him because I figured they're going to utilize him in the goal line a lot. But that also might be because the Bears in general aren't scoring too many touchdowns. Just being realistic. But Matt Forte is truly the real deal. He can catch, he can run. They even line him up as wide receiver every once in a while for certain plays and everything. And he doesn't seem to be slowing down. And he's playing one hell of a year. He's a strong back. He's a great back.
When we ranked quarterbacks, mid quarterbacks, running backs on our own, just in our personal conversation.
Uh-huh.
This is our only guy that we had in the top 5 before the season started that actually made the top 5 at the midpoint.
Yeah.
So that's it. Running backs have just been crazy this year. We've seen a lot of rise of younger guys kind of stepping up and replacing some of these bigger names. Not is it going to be temporary, long term? I don't know, but for an era that's supposed to be pass heavy, the running back position is experiencing a bit of a renaissance this season.
Yeah, they truly
got a lot of good running backs right now.
You know who else? This is actually my personal favorite running back this season right now. But number 3 is Chris Ivory.
He's a bit of a sore spot for me personally.
Really?
This is a guy that was the leading rusher for the Saints quite a few years ago, and they let him go, and it's looking like it was a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
And I get they let him go, and Mark Ingram's done well. Mark Ingram is the reason they let him go, by and large. But, I mean, I can just imagine if they had both of those guys on the roster still.
Oh my God.
Chris Ivory he just really he had a good season with the Saints. Our leading rusher that one year, and then he's been with the Jets since. And he's really found his niche in there with the Jets. Like he is really just he belongs. He has allowed them to play some old school football. Ground and pound. He's a tough runner. He runs hard. He doesn't quit. And I do like him. And that's why it's a sore spot.
Yeah. I like him because I always love the ground and pound runners the best. And I think he's one of the best right now this season. He's not in the top 3 for leading yards in rushing, but he's a really close number 4. So he's definitely putting up the yards. I know he's putting up the touchdowns too. I mean, not as many as maybe some people on this list, but he's up there for it. And I really like watching him play. I do just love watching him just plow through certain people, and it's really good. And he definitely deserves to be number 3.
And drum roll, because if you're watching football, you're gonna know who number 1 is when we say who number 2 is. So
yeah, but number 2 definitely deserved to be number 2. Todd Gurley.
Yes.
I kind of want to see how long you would do that before you just gave up.
I would have just said it myself.
Oh, well, that works too. Todd Gurley is number 2. If you haven't guessed, Devontae Freeman is number 1. Devontae Freeman. What's that?
I said putting a Falcon at the top. burns my soul a little bit.
Oh. Devonta Freeman is a no-brainer at number one.
Tell him why.
He's leading the NFL in touchdowns with 9. You know who's in second place with 3? Maybe 4. I think somebody else has 4 in second place. He has 9 rushing touchdowns this season. He's leading the NFL in rushing all around. And on top
And
of
he's got a lot of receiving yards.
and a lot of receiving yards. And the craziest thing about him, he wasn't the starter in week 1.
Yeah, he got benched in the preseason.
Yeah, he wasn't even supposed to be the starter for the season. He was lucky that Coleman got hurt, that he all of a sudden came out there and showed what he actually was all about, which in a way kind of shows how bullshit preseason can be. When you have a guy that the entire team said, well, I don't know, we're going to pass on him. He doesn't seem that impressive. And then he's pulling this shit out? Yeah, that's saying something a little bit about what preseason can really hold its ground on and everything. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Todd Gurley at number 2. He missed, what, the first 4 weeks, correct? 5 weeks?
Something like that. He missed quite a few of them, right?
It must have been 4 weeks because he has the NFL record for most yards in 4 games, starting 4 games. And he's a rookie.
Right.
Which is insane. Now, I know that even Devonta Freeman didn't start out as a starter, since week 1, and neither did Todd Gurley, but I want to see a hypothetical world, and most likely we'll be able to experience it next season, but next season anything could be entailed. I want to see this season if Todd Gurley and Devonta Freeman started at week 1, who actually would have been the better back. I honestly think that Todd Gurley, by the end of the season, maybe won't surpass Devonta Freeman, but he's going to surpass everybody else. I think so. I think he'll go over
Probably
Matt
so.
Forte. I think he'll go over Chris Ivory. I think he'll go over Chris Johnson. I think he's going to be the second most rushing yards this season.
They're definitely the top 2, and I think that there's a pretty sizable gap between them and everyone else.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
both very young too, so that's what's crazy about it. I mean, Todd Gurley obviously, but
well, running backs. I mean, running backs is a young man's position, so
it is. But it's hard to find these running backs.
Rookie running backs usually aren't is a down year. Like there's usually a bit of a sweet spot, I guess, in the late 20s, where these guys are really,
Yeah.
they have a little bit of experience under the belt, and they still have,
I think it's
taking that much damage. So it is impressive that they're this young.
26, 27, I think is when you see these running backs purely in their prime. But when they come out at 21, 22 years old and they're looking like that, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's definitely something that, mostly that I hope they stay healthy because there's been a lot of leg injuries, especially towards running backs this year. And on top of that, if they come back next year and put up these same numbers, you're going to see a lot. You're going to see a lot of records maybe potentially being thrown out. I mean, you might even see that Adrian Peterson won't even be even a big name anymore compared to these guys.
Essentially. And I remember Steven Jackson was mourning the death of the every down back during the all season. But hey, Todd Gurley could be step 1 and bringing it back,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Personally, I'd be okay with it. I'd like to see a little bit of return to some old school running football. We've seen a lot of pass heavy, quarterback heavy play over the last 15 years, especially.
Yeah.
I style. So we'll see.
Definitely.
First in a wave, I think Leonard Fournette going to be next. But I'm just kind of giving a side thing on running backs now. So.
Yeah. So that is definitely our top 10 so far of the season. We're going to do a top 10 again at the end of the season. Let us know what you think about the top 10 list and if there's anybody that you would rather replace, and leave us a comment. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. There's a link in the description below. And we will definitely have more videos coming out next week.
Coming up next, top 10 fullbacks.
Yeah!
Tight ends, Gronk. Yeah. Greg also pretty good.
Yeah. Tyler Eifert.
All right, we're not doing a video.
No, that's it. That's all I gotta say. All right.